Good morning, everyone listening in, and our council. We're live stream right now, and we're what's the other one called?
Virtual.
Us
Zoom.
Zoom. Thank you, Elder Norman. Zoom meet, and we're zooming in. Some of our council members are zooming in. But anyway, let's start in a good way. Norman, our opening prayer, please.
Good morning, Bomatega, Kyogi, out kape mamo piaka nos meeting, open the mark pa stand the mark. One mix yami hawen, the bone German to which my ark. Tweet up me goyak nos tap dominant, tweet up me goyak, I got 20 kayak, and tani kutaga nipa ya. Tani kutaga yak, tap touch kakwegis ksiak. The more you have go meetings, got penny power yak, the yak, a while ago, we tap me to yak. Kiss chick skate to make. Kakio to stay in a kayak and leave ye tap school. My sir, what can nipa wet we stout the cape, which a nipa wet kakio is all not takik. Leave ye. On my Zoom got a stomach. En ek skat ja om si technology up I have at style. Dan denk je ook I heb je kwak wow. Na toch tamok ko yes om guys pa je kom al government ka open na mark so ja kom the government guys nikate. E wa ga at style can hit the Lee more those words and the distinction. Guy to ja man. Ke wine ma che wen stort tamik. Kumaga siya pics ko ya, kumaga match siya, kumal government Louis Real kagi open na mago ya, kaya susche Gabriel Dumont, wistaga ki gak sinot ni gechik. Du fue ni shogi not ni gechik, the government Canada, wistal Canada chik skate takawan again. Is chimarsin de taman tu, tap tawi tap mito ya, anigigani chik. En giga ki pichtig dal government Métis Nation-Saskatchewan wist out most stachik dan ik ni pauya. So with that, God our Creator, we come before you in prayer as we, the Métis Nation, have with respect and humility since our creation by your power and love. We thank you in a very special way for helping us to uphold our pride in our culture and our distinction, in our beautiful language, Michif, and other languages that we speak. God, our Creator, the Métis Nation, your special people come before you today, as always, with special purposes to celebrate our intentions in our government as we move forward in this country, but most importantly, in our communities and in our homes with our families. God, our Creator, remember our forefathers, our Métis veterans, for those that sacrificed and with their bravery at all costs. God, our Creator, we give thanks especially today as we come together in honor and in respect, in caring, in coming together to uphold our rights, to uphold what is most important to us, and to remember those that are most important, our children, and those that are the vulnerable, those that are less fortunate than we are. We also pray for those people that are in Jamaica and they're suffering, and other places in the world that are suffering during the wars. Bring us together, Creator. Help us and think about all of us and everybody, and most importantly, in your grace and love. Thank you, Merci.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Elder, for that prayer. You mentioned the things that are going on in the world. Jamaica is having a bracing for a big storm starting probably this evening. And hopefully things will turn out okay. That no lives are lost, but it's going to be a tough one for them. So I'm glad that you're included in the prayer that you just said this morning. And the other piece is the distinction piece, you know, as Métis people and First Nations that are some are listening in. And we have to now begin to assert our rights as Métis people, be able to stand in regards to what is that stand we're making? Based on what? It's identity, culture, values, and language. So thank you for that prayer. So going back to the agenda, roll call. Where's can you do it? Roll call.
Dorothy, can we bring up the list, please? There we go.
Go ahead. I can't see that
Okay.
far.
President Glenn McCallum,
Aye.
Vice President Michelle Leclerc,
Okay.
Provincial Secretary Marlene Hanson,
Here.
Treasurer Jeremy Denby.
Yeah.
NR1 Laura Burnoff,
Buta.
NR2 Leonard Montgrand. NR2 Leonard Montgrand. NR3 Brendan Morasti. NR3 Brennan Morasti. ER1 Ryan Carrier.
Here, good morning.
ER2 Brent Dignas.
Good morning.
ER2A Darcy Lefaway.
Good morning here.
ER3 Marg Friesen.
Bomatown.
Western Region 1 Loretta King. Western Region 1 Loretta King. Western Region 1A Billy Kennedy. I know he's logging on, he was texting, so I know the support is helping him, so he should be on shortly. Western Region 2A Beverly Fullerton.
Morning.
Youth President Rachel Heiser.
Present.
Women President Darlene Langen.
Yeah.
Women President. Good morning.
Yes, you could. Yes.
We have quorum.
We have quorum. Anyway, approval of the agenda. Marlene,
I have something to add to the agenda.
all right. Go ahead.
At the last MNLA, this is really tough. Not sure how I feel about it, but at the end of the MNLA, or here in September, just prior to my leaving the MNLA, I was tasked with a task. It was presented to me the two binders that I placed there in front of the treasure. It was brought to me from the Métis citizens to present here at the PMC for the Métis petitions that has been handed out. I did contact a lawyer to see what to do with them, and they did say to present it at the PMC, so I did hand them over to Jeremy. So I don't know if we need discussion on that or what, but
I would like to have you speak to our senior staff, our senior team, and for the next Provincial Métis Council meeting. I know that I have received myself those what do you call them? Petition. I have, they're still sitting in my office from the 2 terms that I've been here.
Okay.
So what I do respect though, is the respect that I have for people sitting around this table. They represent, the regional directors represent the people. The local presidents represent the people. The people have to go through their local presidents, and the local presidents have to go to the regional meetings. And they have to bring out their thoughts and concerns they may have through the proper process. So yes, there's a lot of things that I hear, but I won't bring to the table because I'm waiting for the people to be able to respond to the protocols that we have in the processes. We had an election, people got elected, we have to respect those positions. So therefore, there'll be more discussion on this as we move on. So anyone else, go ahead.
I just wanted to add that based on the rules that were established for the PMC, that there can't be table dropping of agenda items or adding to it. It needs to be in advance unless it's emergent. So this will automatically go to the agenda of the next Provincial Métis Council.
I was just requested to bring it here, so that's
Perfect.
all.
Thank you, Provincial
Thank
Secretary.
you.
Michelle?
Thank you.
I think that this is emergent. I think all of us received a email from Shay Druin where he had submitted resolution for the next MNLA. He says in time and all of that sort of thing. So I would like that placed on the agenda so that we could speak to it. And it is emergent because the MNLA is coming up. We don't have another PMC meeting before that. So I think that we need to have that discussion. He is part of the MNLA. So I think that if we can put that on the agenda for later on, I'd like to discuss it.
For me, I still stand behind in regards to what our protocol processes are, and it's going to go to the next Provincial Métis Council agenda.
So this isn't an emergent issue?
So
Who
anyway,
decides if it's emergent or not, though?
Point of order.
Who's this? Oh, Mark,
It's-
go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, I think you should address your concerns to the chair of the meeting. And I understand that there is a agenda item that you'd like to add. I agree with the CEO. And I believe it's not urgent, and there's a process. There's a process that we have established for order of the day and also resolutions that hit the floor for the Legislative Assembly. I believe that Member Druin has been informed of that process, and I would like our legislative services to address it and remind us all of what that process is. If this is a resolution coming forward that after the fact, I don't believe, I agree that it is an important item to discuss. However, you can't walk on agenda items here. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we move on. Anybody else that wants to say anything about the agenda, or we approve it? We're gonna resolution.
Oh, good morning. This is Minister Lepwick. Good morning to everybody, and I just wanted to ask, I did put in a resolution to reaffirm the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Wildlife and Conservation Act, and I don't see it on the agenda, so it was put in a time we did have talks about it, so just to make sure it's added up to the agenda, please and thank you.
Or these team can
Dorothy, if you can speak to that, please. Dorothy?
Good morning. Thank you, President McCallum. Yes, I believe it's coming on, Minister Lepwick, that your item was an 8.5, and I don't see it there, but Heather was going to include it on the agenda. So if Heather, if you can please.
I believe it's on the in camera. It's on the agenda for in camera.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you.
Okay, Lepwick.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, who else got his hand up? Hillary. Go ahead.
Yes, Bon Matan, good morning. Hello, Council, and thank you, Elder Norman, for your prayer this morning. I am wondering about the resolution that is being considered to be walked on. Can I please see it? I'd like to provide my thoughts on, I can provide my advice on whether it's emergent. I'm not familiar with the resolution.
With the resolution that Lepwick is talking about?
No, the one that Secretary Hansen brought forward, and I'm wondering if we could deal with this even after a break. I would like to review it so I could provide my advice.
You know, and again, we're being stuck here in regards to this conversation going on. We have a system, we had an election, people are representatives of their regions, their locals, and they have to have the process in regards to how they take what they bring to the table. And a lot of times these things land on our table and I believe it's politically driven in regards to what's going on here. And I don't like that because of the last 8 years, we've got to try and fine tune ourselves as a government to be able to use the protocols and processes that are in place for us to get to the point of where we should be. Right now, we've now been just close to half an hour now. We haven't even approved the agenda yet so far. But that review should have happened already in regards to what you're talking about. And let's continue looking into it. But like I said, it's very political when you start bringing in information when we're having these meetings. So we have an agenda and let's accept the agenda and let's move on with business.
I'm gonna have to call point of order. This individual is part of the MNLA who
Then here we
says-
go again. We're
No,
going to talk
no,
about this.
This is not.
We are going to
No,
talk
President
about this for the
McCallum.
rest of our lives, or we're going to move on the
No,
agenda.
This is part of.
I
a
want to move on
democratic
the agenda in
system.
regards to what's going on. We've discussed this. It's
Okay,
gonna
so
go
we're
later on.
shutting down.
No,
One
no,
of our
we're going to have a
presidents.
meeting. We're going to discuss the agenda items here. We're going
It
to
is
approve the
urgent.
agenda and we're going to move on.
I'm
Somebody call question.
There's no motion on the floor, President McCallum.
Okay. The motion, who wants to make the motion to accept the agenda?
Good morning, everybody. It is Brennan Morasti, NR3. I will so make that motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you, Marasti. Seconder? Fullerton, seconder? All in favor? How do we do that now? I'm in favor. Somebody take account. Who's taking account in regards to who's voting?
Well, it's all online, but in here, we can just look in the room to add the votes.
Can we get this, every time we have these meetings, we gotta be very precise in regards to who's doing what here.
So it's a virtual meeting, President, so all the rest of the council is doing their poll online. So if you have your devices in front of you and you're logged
I
in,
don't have a
you
device.
can. If not, you can use vocal.
Heather, no.
Yeah, Roswell.
All in favor? Against? Abstentions? What do we have? What do we have?
How many did we have in favor?
What do we have?
They're
Two
putting
in
together,
favor.
President.
I let them know and then. Eight
in
in
favor.
favor. Should be added.
Hey, everyone, we have 8 in favor, 4 opposed. Motion's carried.
So it passed. Thank you very much, everyone. Anyway, my opening remarks. Anyway, thanks, council members for being here, and thanks for the people listening in. I haven't chaired very many meetings in the past. And I'm very honored to be able to do that today. And when I look at that distinction piece that the elder prayed about, our culture is very different. Status quo as dictated in regards to how we run our business. And that's why some of the discussions that are happening around this table become technical and not necessarily the issues that we should be talking about in moving forward. As the chair, you will see that. You will begin to see that being a Métis person, ikastahan tanihiyaw yan. Igwasing stu tamanas tigiwik so tagama muapya. Ikski tamanas tigitay sinimin na waging tuta ko business tagwi tutama. Igwas tiga to tagwi sui pinigya. Bichat ki o tigan tutami. kag skitina o kya politics it's payogya pisana. Utaga magwagi ko kita yawana na ay sino agin dawita ko titu tama the right thing. Anos kawita to schema ko federal government, provincial government, industry, institutions, asuni kita sini minawag. Dawita mok ay naniwaski as pingagipihti guyano ta. Ay naniwaski ta kami mo no. Takwi tu tamaki gwe kita sini minawag kitse iwanuwan wahewi taksinya. Tapin papihti gwe pinamo gay sino tan sit tagwis tagati huguya ko kay kato tagwis wi pinigya muy kapagtiti na wewan ma. Kiyawo ka daw itami kipapahti na o minamisya kiyawo kiwi gay tutama kiyawo gitsi kiwi gay tutama. Muy gutaga waya gitsi kiwi gay tutama kiyawo gitsi. Iwa sibutan magsigay kya na wega pihti wi pinakiwe. Ustu po kiyawo tiga ikmi got ka utintutami area directors kita yawo. Tigi o tsaka intutami gasti local presidents kita yawo gasti. Kiyawo kita kaya ay iguanan igiut na igo tayo mitsi kiyawo gitsi. Apachi ko iguanan igwasti no regional meetings sa tigaya tsik. Apachi ta kigo tatapita ikiwen ma kandawita dawita mi tapita gawi. Muya wasmi kaging tukto na wawiyak kaga apachi ta tigunan kasti kigo tatapachi ta tan sitis tuta ko ay atuskiwin. Kiyawo ginstutina o wanma. Ta kami mo ya po ko yes. Ta sitagwiswi pinigya our government is. What I said in my language was, of all the politics that we've endured in the last how many years, it's time that we have to move forward and pay attention in regards to what's important to our people. Our people are the most important thing that we represent, but at the same time, our people have spoken. You've voted in your local presidents, your regional directors. Use those systems that you voted in to represent you. If you want your voice heard, use those systems. Because when it comes to this table, it creates animosity, it creates division in regards to who wants to speak for who. We're a democratic elected body, and we have protocols, we have an elections act. Those are the things that we follow. So in order for us to be able to do the business that we need to do here, we've got to follow them. And that's what you're going to hear from the chair today. And I have to be that way. And because I am not part of any system. I come from a trap line. I come from a place where I listen to my mom and dad, my mushroom and my kokum, and how they laid out the rules in regards to how we carry ourselves. And I would sure hope that at this table that we carry ourselves in the right way and not allow the outside world to dictate regards to how we perform, how we do our jobs around this table. So I look forward to this day. We have a big agenda today, so we'll get on it. Thank you very much for everyone. Merci, tinige, kantuhtawi, akiwasta, iwistaw wuti, the Dene people, kantuhtami kistaw, Dene people that are listening in, the different languages. Some might not understand the English or Korean Dene, but we try as much as we can to be able to accommodate people that are listening in. So anyway, we'll get to the first approval of recording secretary. Somebody make a motion?
It's a
Michelle?
consent agenda, President.
I think it's consent agenda, so I'll make a motion to approve the recording secretary and the minutes from August 18th, 2025.
Thank you, Vice President, Seconder. Thank you, President, Youth President. Thank you very much. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? What number do we have? 100%?
Let us know when you'll be here.
I can't see that far. By the way, people listening in here, I'm sitting at the board table in Saskatoon, and the screen is right on the other side of the room where I'm sitting.
So after each resolution, because some are voting online, or there's a mixture, after the vote goes here, Roz is sending it through to Heather, and Heather's going to tell us what the vote is.
All right, Heather.
And you could just turn around, take a quick peek, it's right there.
I don't like to know, but it's because those are only some of them voting online. It doesn't represent you voting here in the room.
Okay. But at the end of the day, it'll all show up on there, won't it?
No.
Yep.
Heather will say.
Chair,
Heather?
thank you.
So this-
We have 11 in favor. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Review approval of, review of August 8th, 19.
No, that was part of the consent agenda,
Yeah.
President. It's voted on, so it's straight to audit and financial statement.
Mark Friesen, Minister of Finance.
Marcy, Chair, thank you all for joining us this morning. We are going to review the draft of the audited financial statements. I want to thank of course, the audit team and our team here with M&S, our senior staff, and also our Department of Finance. They've done an incredible job once again. We do have an unqualified audit, a clean audit this year. And just so the folks that are tuning in this morning, we did have a audit workshop last week with our Provincial Métis Council members, and the audit was approved by council in draft. So I'm really pleased, Marcy, to my colleagues with the PMC. There was some great questions asked. Bless you. We will review the audited draft. And of course, for those of you who are listening in and who are following along, you have questions about a particular item with the audited financial statements. Your regional representative does have information that we can follow through with any questions from a citizen or any other elected official. We will again present this at the Legislative Assembly. I'm pleased to present the audit, and we'll follow through with the presentation. Marcy.
Friesen, Matt. You're on the agenda. Do you have the agenda? Are you on mine?
Sorry. I guess we are on the agenda for audited financial statements. So I'm not going to be speaking or presenting the audited.
Well, you are
financial
speaking now.
I am momentarily. MNP is coming in to do the presentation of audited financial statements, and then the minister, Echo, and myself will be available for questions after. So
thank you, Echo.
Good morning, Council, and thank you, Elder Fleury, for your prayers to open the meeting in a good spirit. And I am happy to be here and introduce you to our auditors from MNP, Kurt Wagner and Celine Ilian. So the MNP team will take us through our audited financial statements, and then answer any questions you have. And as Matt mentioned before, Minister Friesen, Matt, and myself would also be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you. And I will share my screen so that the statement will be available for everyone to review. Is this coming through? Or okay, technical difficulties. Okay, sure. Okay. Please let me know if this statement's not showing up on the screen. It's good. Thank you. Thank you, Youth President, for the thumbs up. All right. Okay. Let's go to the top. And Kurt and Celine, the floor is yours.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Echo, and good morning, everyone. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. My name is Kurt Wagner. I am one of the partner representatives from MNP that is very happy to be here this morning. So I guess first off, thanks very much for having us on the agenda, for having us into your meeting. It is very much appreciated. This is MNP's first year on the engagement for MNS. So I guess maybe just to open things off, I really just wanted to give a quick thank you, a really heartfelt thank you to Richard, Matt, Echo, Kyle, and many others, the rest of the team that really did help us get through the work that we needed to do to get through our external audit. Getting an external audit is a significant undertaking, and obviously lots of effort went in to make sure that we were able to provide the opinion that we plan to present to you here this morning. So really a thank you for that. And obviously there's a number on our team as well that helped on our side. And maybe one of those I will now pass it off to Celine to maybe quickly introduce herself and take us through the start of this presentation.
Perfect. Thanks, Kurt. As mentioned, my name is Celine Lyon. I'm a partner at MNP as well. Happy to be here this morning with all of you and to trek through the financial statements. So Echo, I believe, is controlling, correct? I'll get you to scroll, if that's all right, to the independent auditor's report, and we'll kind of dive in because I know there's a tight agenda. So I'll present the independent auditor's report, and then I'll hand it back to Kurt for the rest of the statements. So as you can see at the top, it's addressed to the citizens of the Métis Nation. And so at the top, it also outlines our opinion. So as Minister Friesen had alluded to, and Kurt, we are presenting a clean, unqualified audit opinion for the 2025 fiscal year. And just a reminder, that fiscal year goes from April 1, 2024 to March 31st, 2025. And so for those on the call or have any questions, the verbiage for where that says that is in that second paragraph there, when it says, in our opinion, the accompanied non-consolidated financial statements presented fairly in all material respects. And then it lists the various statements. So the non-consolidated statement of financial position, the non-consolidated operations, and then cash flows. That second paragraph is the verbiage that is saying that clean audit opinion. The financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects. So I just like to highlight that when we're going through the statement there. Yes, Echo's cursor is on there, which is perfect. So again, that's where it does say that clean audit opinion. There are various different types, and the best being the unqualified audit opinion. So it's great to see MNS have this for the 2025 fiscal year. The next paragraph outlines the basis of how we came to that opinion. So Kurt, myself, a couple of folks behind the scenes, we conducted our audit in accordance with Canadian generally accepted auditing standards. And it has a little paragraph that goes into more details there. This year, if you're looking at the statements from last year, you wouldn't have seen the other matters paragraph. And so that's new this year, and that's anytime that there's a transition of auditor. So as Kurt had mentioned, it's MNP's first year on the engagement, and we're just commenting that the last fiscal year was audited by another auditor, another CPA, who also expressed an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, and they were just dated at the end of November there. The rest of this just outlines the various responsibilities for the folks involved in the financial statements. So 3 parties, there's management, which would be Richard, Matt, Echo, and the team in MNS. Those charged with governance, which would be the PMC, and then the external audit team, which would be Kurt, myself, representing MNP. So outlines that management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statements and making sure that there's appropriate internal controls kind of behind the scenes to make sure that everything's running smoothly and make sure that the statements are free from material misstatement. In doing the preparation of the financial statements, management also is responsible for assessing the MNS's ability to continue as going concern. So that meaning in the next fiscal year, is there any issues with operations? And then those charged with governance or the PMC are then responsible for overseeing management in the financial reporting process. So overseeing Echo and Matt and Richard and the crew. And then Kurt and myself, we have our own page because we come in as external financial auditors. And then we do a lot of work behind the scenes. So this page, just summarizing it, we come in to obtain reasonable assurance whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement, meaning they can be relied upon for the users and making decisions about the future operations. And then we express our opinion. How we come to that opinion is we take a look at the different areas of risk. We assess the organization as a whole, design audit procedures to address those risks. We also take a look at internal controls to make sure that they're on a high level basis. There's so we can understand the processes behind the scenes to design, our working papers. We take a look at the accounting policies used for the numbers and how they came to be. And then, as mentioned, management performs that assessment of going concern. So again, evaluating the operations in the next year. We then look at their assessment and conclude whether or not that's appropriate. There is no issues with the next fiscal year. And then at the end of the day, we also take the financial information that's prepared by Echo and her team to prepare these the non-consolidated financial statements and the disclosures, and then comment on that. So at the end of the day, we then communicate with those charged with governance, the key findings, and go through all of the end results. And so we have everything's in draft pending approval. And as you can see, we have it dated for October 28th, which would be today, pending approval. So with that, I'm going to hand it back over to Kurt, and he'll go through the high level of the financial statements. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Celine. So really, obviously, there's lots of pages in this package. I think the focus will be on the first 4 pages. I will spend some time on those and really try and explain where the other pages come into play, I guess, more than anything. So the first page is what we would call the non-consol statement of financial position. It is as at March 31. So really, what I call this is a bit of a snapshot of the assets and liabilities of M&S at March 31st. So that is a key thing to think about. And for me, I think this, as we'll see in these numbers, really shows a strong, stable year for M&S. Overall, if we break down some of these key numbers here, the current assets went up from 143 million last year to 177 million this year. And that's made up of largely cash and receivables, as well as marketable securities or kind of short-term GICs. So really some increase there. And hopefully we'll
sorry, Kurt, I think there's a question. I apologize. I see waving.
We have a hands up on the floor.
For sure.
Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Technical people, we got to get this thing straightened out here. We can't even speak. We've been trying to stop that lady from, I wanted to stop you a bit, but you couldn't hear me. And somebody fixing this, make sure that we're online so that you don't get too far sometimes in regards to when we're speaking. Because right now, I'm just looking at, there's a big conversation around restricted funding. Restricted spending, and then non-restricted, and we talk about non-consolidated financial statements, and then there's this distinction piece, and I'm hearing words that I don't like risk, is what you brought up, the word risk. There's always people using like metaphors, and I think we got to really seriously think about, especially our auditors, to be able to seriously look at non-restricted funding. And it's not anything that we do as a government is not a risk. Everything that we do is based on the needs of our people. So we get on the same page with regards to the needs of our people, the more likely we can move forward in a good way to be able to not have these words used. Because it really bothers me when somebody uses the word risk on our government. When I know that we have good people here, we have good financial people that work at building.
Yes. Are we ready to go?
We're just waiting for a
minute. Research agreement with the University of Saskatchewan. I would like for you guys to talk to Kurt. I would like you to talk to the finance minister, the finance committee, and put a meeting together to not use those words. I don't like hearing those words, because all these years that I've been in Pine House and on being in the local community in regards to the risk the people think they're making on us people. So the sooner that we get to that point of using the right words, like government wasn't used by even certain consulting firms because they're hesitant to be able to use that. And so we've got to start using other words instead of risk, because there is no risk here. Yes, I could agree with you previous years regards to where funds used to go. I guarantee you, the funds that come to the Métis Nation and the outcomes we've shown of what we've done, that is all important to be able to tell that story. But there's a gap there in regards to the money, taxpayers' dollars that we get for the Métis Nation. There's no risk here. It's just a matter of thinking outside the box, spending outside the box, and to be able to qualify that outside the box spending, which is mean distinction-based focused planning and delivery systems. So I'd love for you to be able to work with the University of Saskatchewan, our finance minister, and our finance committee to be able to get to that point of not having to use those words, risk, because those words have been used on us for many years. Thank you.
And Minister of Finance wants to speak first.
Minister of Finance.
Marcy, Marcy Chair, and I understand what you're saying, President. However, our auditors have a responsibility to report to us in a manner that is in relation to an audited financial statement, and that's the terminology that is used. Are they implying that we're at risk? Absolutely not. These are the terms that we use when we are reporting an audited financial statement, and this is a standard practice in the finance world, and primarily with auditors. They are external for a reason, and MNP works with the Department of Finance to ensure that we are i.e. allocating the funds that our contribution agreements that we sign are accountable and transparent. And so it's their role to ensure that what the funds we've received are actually going into the pots that we have indicated, and that we are complying to all the agreements that we have for funding. So that's the role of MNP. It's our role as the Ministry of Finance to meet, i.e. internally or with other stakeholders, to discuss, President, what you are saying. And we have actually taken that under review. And as I indicated at our workshop, that is something that we are reviewing with senior management, our Department of Finance, and others that you have mentioned. So the auditors don't have a stake in that. It's in the way that we build those relationships, and how we move forward in what you are suggesting, President. So respectfully, I'd like the auditor to continue, please.
Perfect. Thanks very much for the question, and thanks, Minister Friesen. So in terms of the numbers here again, so that current assets, which we have seen grow, so that is a
may I, Kurt? I think the president is still speaking.
Sorry.
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on.
You know, you guys listening in, the people that are listening in, I'm glad you're listening in. The frustration that goes along with running a government in regards to the lack of listening. You definitely have a stake in here. You're making money out of the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan. You have a stake in that. But at the same time, in saying that, if we don't teach you in regards to what we're thinking, it's no different in 1885 when Riel was hung. It was treason back then, and he got hung for that. Are we going to get hung? Or no, we're not. Are we going to get disciplined? I don't know. But at the same time, how are you going to know? If we don't put it out there in regards to the reality of what's going on in the Indigenous governments. Right now, there's third-party scenarios happening all over this country without total disregard for the Métis Nation government of Saskatchewan. We cannot have that continue. So when I'm having this conversation with our finance team. I had a meeting with the finance team already. I've had a meeting with the CEO and the COO on this. I've met with Kurt Boyer at the University of Saskatchewan. I'm trying to bring solutions to this question of identity, culture, values, and language, distinction-based focus planning and delivery systems. And it seems to me like, I don't know, maybe this might be my last term. Who knows? And all of a sudden I go back to my little community and status quo still alive and well. I sure wouldn't want to see that. That's why even when we had this auditors meeting the first time I was there, they didn't want to use government. Oh no, Glenn, you're under the nonprofit. It's the secretariat that speaks. Well, when are we going to speak? When are our voices going to be heard? Well, this is the opportune time. I'm only saying that you have an obligation in regards to the state that you have within the Métis Nation of Saskatchewan to be able to have avenues that you can take to be able to better understand our government, and not only the time that you represent an audit financial statement. That's all I'm saying. And it's a tough thing to be able to sit here and listen and say, well, due to the criteria and how we process this, and all of a sudden, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut then nobody gets to listen to me. Well, I'm not going to do that. We have a voice here. We have to be heard. And I'm just saying there's options here in regards to how you, the auditors, can play a role. Same with our outside lawyers' advice that they give us. Same with in-house lawyers. It's going to change in regards to what language we use. It's not risk anymore or metaphors. I'm real. You can touch me. You can hear me. Niyo manihiyo, may tinia. Gusto mo damatsin tuhtagaw eh, hindi sinimina, naguyaw, dawita magkantutati. That's all I'm saying. There's an avenue to take here. We didn't sign a citizenship agreement, an MOU citizenship agreement, teaching governance at the university and signing a research agreement for nothing. What are we going to use it for? To do research and complement whatever entity that we can use to make that Métis voice louder and with evidence to be able to support what we discuss. That's all I'm saying to you. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Chair, and definitely hear what you're saying and appreciate all of your words. So in terms of the actual numbers that you do see in front of you, again, asset growth. So those current ones are ones that would typically be realized within 1 year. But another big number that you see is what we would call tangible capital assets, and that's more so mainly land, buildings, as well as other hard assets that M&S would own. A significant increase in that balance as well this year, leading to overall asset growth from 185 million to about 237 million. When we flip to the bottom part of the statement, so there are also liabilities that M&S does owe to. And as operations have grown, the payables went up this year, not unexpected. And really, so if the assets were to settle the liabilities, what would be left? Typically, you would see that as being those net assets that we see at the bottom of this page. So there is a little bit more information on page 3 on these 4 net asset items, but the key items in here are the bottom 3 are various levels of restricted funds. So the biggest one is for sure the overall just generic restricted funds balance. And that really is made up largely of funds from either federal or other funds that have restrictions on what those funds will be used for that haven't been effectively spent yet. So a significant increase in that balance, and we will see that further on the second page. The invested intangible capital assets is roughly those assets that we saw above. Endowment fund is a very specific purpose that was basically donated for an endowment purpose. And then really what's left is about 4.2 million. And really that is just left for M&S, kind of the core operations, just to make sure it can continue into the future. So again, strong, stable net asset growth of about 50 million, which again, we will see further details on the second page. So on that second page, this is more of a non-consolidated statement of operations. So this is a summary of funds that came in and expenditures that went out in the current year. And again, very strong and stable increases as we would have expected. So on that revenue side, you will see a significant increase from about 129 million last year up to just under 180 million this year. And again, there's a little bit of detail in terms of where that's coming from. It is largely federal driven, so that number went up the most for sure. But the provincial government funding did also increase quite significantly in the year as well, from 714 to 3.6 million. So again, strong increase on the revenue side. And as we would expect, there was also a strong increase on the expenditure side as well. So when we look down there, you will see the more significant increases on the grant, scholarship, and citizen supports number was up significantly. Salaries and benefits also up quite a bit in the year, as obviously the organization has ramped up. There are more people needed to kind of continue with that. So those were two of the larger increases year over year. There was a bit of a drop in the travel line, a bit of an increase in the advertising line, and then lots of smaller movements between a number of the other expenditure lines year over year. But overall, so we saw significant growth on the revenue, we saw significant growth on the expenditures, and overall about 50.5 million was left over in terms of being in excess of revenue over expenses in the year. And if you look at the different columns that this page does show, you will see that nearly 55 million of that, so actually more than the overall amount, is in that restricted fund, meaning that the funds are received for specific purposes and not all of those funds have been spent yet. So as a result, the restricted fund balance that we saw on the first page has gone up fairly significantly in the year. So that's the second page. In terms of the third page, here we've got, again, a bit more color on that very bottom of page 1. So the changes in fund balances, this is where I alluded to the unrestricted had 4.2 million left. So you'll see on the very bottom here, that's where those numbers would tie back to the first page. And overall, again, the restricted fund is the biggest balance. So it went up by that 54 million, which we saw on page 2. But a number of those assets were purchased for the long-term assets, so tangible capital assets. So that's why there's an $18 million drop in the purchases there. But again, overall, just summarizing and reiterating what I said on the bottom of page 1, a significant increase in overall net assets. And then this is really showing what's left that has to be spent for restricted purposes, what's left for the endowment, and then really what's left in the unrestricted balance at the end of the year. And then last but not least, the statement of cash flows. So really here, so if we saw on that first page, the cash number did increase quite significantly. So part of that is because the operations on page 2 had an increase or a net revenue number of about 50 million. So overall, from an operations perspective, there was a significant increase in cash. And if we go to the bottom, I think I'll try and explain it a bit, but there was a GIC, a marketable security that matured in the year. Effectively, it was moved into a high interest savings account. So really, you'll see a really big increase on the cash flow statement. So effectively, what this is trying to show is that was moved into cash. A good amount of funds were used to buy tangible capital assets. That's at 18.4 million. But overall, there was a pretty significant uptick because of that maturity of that GIC. So that, coupled with the strong operations, led to a very significant increase in cash resources of 82.5 million. Comparing that to what was there last year, you add those together and the end cash balance is 142, which we did see on the first page as well. And really, beyond that, I would say the rest of the pages really are words, policies, some history, and just further information that provides further transparency on some of the numbers that we already touched on. So I don't plan to go through the rest of the statements. Really, from my perspective, I think that is a good high-level summary of the picture as it sits as of March 31st. But I'll pause here for further questions or comments anyone would have.
I don't see any hands up, Kurt, so I think we can continue. Marcy?
We have a hand up at the boardroom here.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see that from where I am.
Can you tell me what the materiality was figure that was used for the audit?
Yeah, the materiality figure, I believe, and Celine, correct me if I'm wrong, 5.5 million, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
So yes,
5.
5.5 million.
And so on what basis was this amount determined?
It was based off of the, Celine, it was revenues, correct?
Correct, yeah. I was gonna dive in there, but apologies. Yeah, it's a percentage based off of gross revenues. 3.5% of gross revenues. Good questions.
And so how does that affect our smaller programs with that high of materiality?
So, and again, we could probably delve into a lot of detail, but the overall audit really does, the number 5.5 million is a big number, but that doesn't mean that we're ignoring anything that's kind of below 5.5 million. So our audit provides reasonable assurance. So we're not testing every single transaction. We're not giving an audit opinion on every single program individually. So really, we're looking at it on a kind of, we'll say, an overall entity basis, and then we try and drill down where needed and do testing on that based on, obviously, the bigger the balances, the more testing we do in those areas and that type of thing. But Minister Friesen, I see your hand up as well.
Thank you, Kurt. The materiality percentage is actually a standard percentage for this for the gross bottom line that, or the revenue that we have that we're reporting to you today. It's a standard amount. It's actually a low percentage based on our gross revenue, as Kurt has suggested. And the sampling that they do is quite extensive. They sample in a number of areas. It's not just one specific area or the other, and it's not those larger amounts of the budget that perhaps shows a higher amount, such as education or housing. They actually take their sampling from there's no program, or there's no system. It's a random sampling of anywhere that we have expenditures.
I see a hand up, Darlene.
Thank you. My question is, in our last audit that was done, excuse me, there was in the one portion there was saying there was an amount owing to Lafille de Madeleine Secretariat Inc. That money has still never been paid out to us. So where is that at right now in this audit?
Minister Friesen.
As I mentioned in the audit workshop, because that was a question that was raised in another department. Actually, someone raised it for women and youth, that funding. It doesn't roll over, President Langen. It does not roll over into the next fiscal year. If it's not expensed, it's not reserved. And maybe Matt or Echo can support that on how that is budgeted. And there's either we cash manage for some regions, or Lafille de Madeleine, I know we were cash managing in the previous years because of the complications that Lafille de Madeleine had at the time. But maybe we can further comment on that if I can get Echo or Matt to further comment. But that is the broad answer. Thanks, Matt.
Excuse me, Minister Friesen, but if it's okay with you, I'd like to hear from the auditor what they have to say in regards to this.
The auditor doesn't have that question. With all due respect, they don't have the answer to that question. It's our finance department that will answer that question. Thank you.
Okay, then I'd like to see if this is true from the auditor. Thank you.
Okay.
Point
You
of
can defer
order.
that question, Kurt, to Matt or Echo.
Yeah, maybe Matt, if you wanted to speak to that.
Yeah, are you able to hear me on that end? Okay, yeah, so what I would say is the governance portfolio of funding that we have, that funding isn't a pot of funding that we carry forward or really can carry forward. It's not a flex agreement. It's a year to year. And so we fully utilize the governance funding every year. It's actually oversubscribed substantially. And we just kind of top it up with a little bit of admin fee recovery. And so those dollars don't carry forward that 160 commitment. It's kind of like a use it or lose it type approach where it's really designed to cover operating expenses within the fiscal year. And so we've never really been able to carry it forward. And so we haven't in previous years as well. So I know this has come up before, but in terms of why it was in the audited statements last time around and why it's not there now, I'm operating under the assumption that it was just pulled and adjustments and
Matt,
adjusted out.
Take the chair for.
Okay, excuse me, but I guess that just kind of blows my mind when you say use it or lose it when we didn't even have the opportunity to use it because we never did receive it. But that will be the end of my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and Provincial Women's President Langan, I just want to kind of, I guess, comment on that. And so last year, the two things that I'm aware of for that particular funding on why it didn't move is that there was some reporting that wasn't complete. And so there was a delay related to reporting that held back funding. And then there was the PMC had also created a women's subcommittee to do some work related to women in the government and LFDM. So those are the two things I'm aware of that would have, maybe stalled the funding out in any way. But yeah, the quarterly for funding. Sorry, Minister.
I believe that the reporting was in place, and as far as the group that was put in place to work with LFDM, to this day, we're still trying to work with it. And that happened when we were up in Alberta at BAP, when the president gave directions to the committee to be working with us. Until this day, we're still trying to work on it. We should have been on the ballot box in the 2025 election here that has passed. And to date, we're still struggling to get to AGM to get our bylaws passed and worked on, and to have now some type of election within this upcoming year.
Yeah, well, thank you for the comment. I do know that at one point your reporting was submitted. I did receive the email, and Finance did as well. It was later than typically is required under the contribution agreement. So that was really, the primary reason for the delay. But that's all I can speak to on that. I have been asked by the president to just pop in as temporary chair, so I'm gonna just flip over to that seat for a minute.
The hot one.
Yeah, just so I can see people when they put their hand up. Okay, so. Okay, so getting back to questions, I don't see any further hands up. Okay, Treasurer Denemy.
So I haven't had a chance to meet with the auditor, and I have a substantial amount of questions for the auditor. So if we could set up a meeting and not, like if you're done with the presentation, just so I can get myself, acclimatized to and understand, the different things and why certain decisions were made.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it over to Minister Friesen. I see your hand up to reply to that one.
Thank you, Chair, and with all due respect, Treasurer Denemy, that's why we have those workshops, so you can ask your questions. We have the workshops. There's no timeline or a time that we plan for those workshops. Any questions that are raised with this audit, we have the ear of the auditors at that time. And I had recommended at the workshop that you review, because you had received this document in advance, that you review and prepare your questions to all my colleagues with the PMC to do that, so that we can have clarity on the areas that you have raised your questions. That's my comment. There is ample opportunity to do that. And if you have questions, you can come to me as the Minister of Finance, and I will reach out, and we can ensure that you have the answers to the questions that you're asking. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Minister. Sorry, I have to recognize the next speaker. Secretary Hansen.
I just wanted to ask if, because we're talking about communication, so in regards to Darlene, maybe moving forward, if we could better communicate with the individual, especially if there's a possibility of them losing their funds. There's really no reason for anybody to be losing their funds. We should be working with them. So it's disappointing to hear that there's a loss of funds and it's being questioned here today. Another thing I was going to say, I was a part of the workshop on Friday, and it took a fair amount of time to get going on the workshop. And it was very difficult because the building we were in, the Wi-Fi wasn't working. So it was a really difficult. And for myself, I can only speak for myself as a newly represented individual here. I struggle knowing about finances, so I wouldn't recommend that we have a workshop where there's so many questions around the audit that need to be questioned and explained, and it's so much harder to have those questions over a Zoom meeting. So I just wouldn't recommend that we do that either. I also have a question in regards to, is there a management letter, and who is that management letter addressed to? Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Hansen. Minister Friesen, did you want to reply to any of that, or Kurt?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to inform Secretary Hansen that we don't withhold funds if there's no reason to withhold funds. There is a contractual agreement between either the region or the group, such as Lafita Madeleine, if that's who you're referring to. And we make every effort to work with everyone to ensure that their funding is not withheld. We have an obligation as well to uphold those agreements, and we do. So if you're not complying to what you signed up for, the agreement that you signed, then we have to hold up our end, being accountable with the funds that we receive. So that answers that question. So nobody actually loses funds. They have to comply to the agreement that they and the conditions that they agreed to. As far as the management letter, yes, M&S receives a management letter, and it is to the management. Yeah, we receive a management letter, and we review the audit just like we're doing here prior to it coming to the Provincial Métis Council.
So is it in the package here? So I'm looking for it and I don't see.
Okay, I might ask Kurt, if you could just weigh in on the management letter, that'd be great.
Sure, thanks. So yes, there was a management letter that was issued. It was issued to Matt. And we did receive management's comments back on that as well. And that it will be finalized with the rest of the package subject to approvals. And that is a document that is for management. The term management letter typically is things that we feel should be considered from our perspective as external third parties based on things that we've seen in our reviews that we think could either enhance management's processes or areas of improvement. And because we feel that they're important enough, we put it in a formal letter that we would then provide annually to management. So that is where that has sat at this point.
So next I've got, sorry,
I had a question.
you're on the list, yeah. So I've got Treasurer Denemy and then yourself, VP. So Treasurer Denemy.
So I'll just respond to Minister Friesen's comments. And I received this document on Thursday, which I don't believe is substantial time enough to review audit that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, number one. And you were in receipt of this document for weeks, and you guys reviewed it at the whatever, and I was never afforded that. So I wasn't able to compile my complete list of questions within one day. And then we had substantial technical difficulties, which I said at the meeting, and then you guys cut the meeting short, is what happened. You said, we're out of time, blah, 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 blah. And, so, and then I came to you guys and I said, well, I have this substantial list of questions that I want answered. So as long as, there's a commitment to me as the treasurer to meet with MNP or meet with the finance team and the finance committee and the finance minister, all parties involved, to discuss this in its entirety, then, then I'm good with that.
Okay.
For them.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer. I will turn it over to Finance Minister to respond.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Treasurer Denemy. With all due respect, I stand by my commitment as the Minister of Finance, and that we have worked closely with the auditors and been through the process. And if you've never raised your questions with me, so that I want to say, if you had concerns, you can raise those questions as the Minister of Finance with me, and I will redirect if I can't answer those myself. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister. Vice President.
Yeah, I guess I'm not satisfied with the answer either. I mean, Mr. Denemy is our provincially elected treasurer, which means that those people, those 5,000 people or so that voted for him, have an expectation that he has a job to do. And that treasure relates to finance. For for Treasurer Denemy, I don't think it's unreasonable for him to ask to be more involved. He actually has a legal duty. It's a fiduciary duty that he carries with him as the elected treasurer. And so I'm not sure what's happening here. We haven't had a treasurer last term. For whatever reason, we didn't have a treasurer the term before for whatever reason, but we do in fact have a treasurer now. And by sort of flippantly saying, well, you just ask me questions, Mr. Chair, it seems abundantly unfair that our treasurer, who was elected by more than 5,000 people, is not being afforded the opportunity to meet with MNP or with
Point of order, Chair.
What's the point of order?
Can you explain the point of order, Minister?
With all due respect, we're not here to discuss the numbers that somebody was elected with. We're not here to discuss the election. We're here to discuss the audit. And with all due respect, the treasurer, I am open to whatever question as the minister responsible for finance. That is my role, my duty to uphold the accountability of Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. The treasurer in the Constitution does not have that role.
Okay, I think I understand, the line of conversation. I don't think it's a point of order, so I'm going to allow the vice president to continue. But I would just ask all of us, given kind of the fact that we're partway through the presentation, if we can just focus our comments. But yes, please continue, vice president.
Yeah, and I don't want to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form. All I am saying is that we haven't had a treasurer for the last 8 years. We now have a treasurer. I mean, the common practice in the past for the last since 1993, 94, even before that, the treasurer's job was to oversee the financial health of the nation. And so whether that's in the Constitution or not, I mean, we don't have really, anything that really says what ministers do, but we do it. If the Constitution is silent on that, we have to go back to what the practice has been. And the practice has been for the treasurer to oversee the health of the nation. I mean, we didn't always have a finance minister. We had a finance minister when we needed it, which was important. It's an important position. It was important when we didn't have a treasurer, but we do have a treasurer. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a minister of finance. All I'm saying is that regardless of the number of people that elected provincial treasurer, he was elected by our citizens through a democratic process, which we put our trust in. And he has a legal fiduciary obligation to our nation and to our citizens. And to hold him out and not allow him to meet with MNP or whoever, because he is in charge of the health of our financial situation. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to respect the position of the treasurer. Whether you like it or not, he sits here, he has a job.
Good. Thank you, Vice President. Okay, I'm going to move on to Secretary Hansen.
I just like to remind all of us, we were all at the MNLA and all the portfolios were denied. So I think that sent a big message in regards to who the treasurer is. But going back to respect, I really do believe that we shouldn't have to be invited, always going to invite ourselves. We should be invited out of respect. Also, I'm not, the management letter, should we not have that management letter? Is that not something that we as PMC need to see? And along with, I'm not really understanding where one says we lose the money and the other one says we don't lose the money, or if they get this $160,000. So to me, there's a little bit of contradiction there, and I'm not really following that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Hansen. I'm in the chair role now, so I can't respond. So I'll turn it over to Minister Friesen to reply to the questions.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't say that groups lose the money. If they indeed meet their contractual obligations, then the funding is released in accordance to that agreement. If in fact they do not do that within the fiscal year, then there's no carry forward. That's what I'm saying. And also, with regards to VP Leclerc's comments, I have a mandate. I have a mandate to ensure the accountability of this nation is upheld. And my mandate is within the Ministry of Finance. That's my role as and also the role of regional representative. I was appointed as the Minister of Finance, and that is my role, finance, to ensure that we work and we're transparent with our processes, that we follow financial policy and implement them in a way that we can continue to be accountable and transparent to the funders and the citizens that we serve. I'm not implying that the treasurer does not have a role. However, within our constitution, it doesn't say anything with specific to that role. And that's why we are reviewing the Constitution and going through this constitutional reform process. The role for the Ministry of Finance is very clear. And I am fulfilling that role with due diligence and respectfully. I would hope that you support that role and you respect the role of this ministry and the role that I will continue to uphold. So with all due respect, I'd like the auditor to continue, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Minister. We've got one more speaker. We've got the Provincial Women's President, Darlene Langan, and then, two speakers, and then Marlene, Secretary Hansen. So, Provincial Women's President.
Thank you, Matt. I'm just listening here and I'm just kind of getting blown away how it seems like our treasurer and other PMC members, as well as myself, are just getting blown off from being able to ask our auditors questions, which I believe we have every right to do. After all, it was the PMC that hired them, that appointed them, or MNLA that approved him. And I think we should be able to talk to our auditor. I believe we should be able to ask direct questions directly to him and not be cut off by Minister Friesen. This PMC needs to be respected. Mr. Denemy has every right to ask the questions he's asking as treasurer. So I think we need to move on and let our questions be answered. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so what I will say just is advice is the auditor is here. They're here to present the financial statements and answer questions. And so I would say if we can keep our questions focused on issues related to the financial statements themselves, the auditor will be more than willing to provide comment. I think when we get into the realm of internal processes or internal roles and things like that, that's where it's difficult for the auditor to answer, because those are operational things that happen within the government and governance issues. And so I think if we just kind of focus in our questions on the statements, then the auditor will be able to answer them more clearly. We won't have to bounce back and forth. But points taken. And final comment before we go back to the presentation goes to Secretary Hansen.
I asked the question a couple times now in regards to the management letter. Should the PMC not get, shouldn't they see the management letter, or is it just the management team? Because we are also responsible for this audit to our citizens. So I think that we have a right to see the management letter. As an auditor, do you recommend that the whole body sees the letter, or is it just management? Thank you.
Thank you. That is a great question. And I don't think I've got a crystal clear answer, but I would say things like when I put things in the management letter, or when we M&P put things in the management letter, they are things that I would say aren't critical. They're not significant deficiencies. And again, these are terms that we tend to use. So they're not of a significant nature that we would feel they would need to go to PMC, because they are more potentially operational and things that we think management could improve or do differently, or sometimes just again, a different perspective. So I definitely would have a number of clients that wouldn't share that with their governing body. because it is really more kind of operational. And so every organization is different. I have seen instances where sometimes it is shared with certain small pockets of people or committees. But it definitely isn't something where I would say, no, that definitely needs to go to PNC for sure.
Say that though. That's what I talked about. Excuse me, we're a government, not an organization.
Sorry, government.
Thank you.
I have
Okay,
a
thank you,
question
Kurt.
though in regards to government, because if we're a government and we're
So
presenting an audit,
just-
isn't that the admin stuff? And isn't there a fine line what belongs to the secretariat part?
So I do want to take us back to, I think we're getting off topic now. The topic really is the financial statements themselves, the governance and,
Yeah.
those types of conversations, I would say we could have after and internally. But these audited financial statements relate to Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat Incorporated. That's what's on it. But let's focus in on the presentation if everybody doesn't mind, and get through the meat and potatoes a bit. Kurt, back to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. And I would say, I think I got through what I was hoping to in terms of kind of the core those first 4 pages, the core numbers themselves. In terms of everything that followed, really was a lot of notes. I'll see just kind of the history of the government. Sorry, apologies. And really just kind of looking back to kind of those types of historical things, policies that need to be followed. There were no changes to those policies. And then there really were a number of notes that just tied back to those first 4 pages. It just gave more information. And then a number of schedules that, again, summarize some of the different ministry pieces there. So with that, I think I'm through my piece, but for sure can stay on as long as needed for further thoughts, comments, or questions.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. Thank you very much for the presentation and for your work on compiling the audit. And I think if that's the end of the presentation, I'm not seeing any hands up at this point. And so I think we can proceed. We are behind schedule on the agenda, so we'll just get back to the agenda. But I would say closing this out now, we move to. Yes,
Just to confirm that these questions that I have, we have like 40.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
and they're probably yes or no answers.
Yeah.
And if they were submitted in whatever form, respond.
Okay.
Because I don't.
So we have a procedural challenge, and so I would just identify the procedural challenge as there's a resolution that has been brought forward today and is on the floor for today, and so that's on the agenda. We do have to proceed with that, and so I would say that there's no real mechanism to go kind of backwards now and not have the resolution proceed unless the mover and seconder pull it. And so I would bring that up with your colleagues when the resolution hits the floor. But otherwise, the train's kind of left the station, and we are where we are in the agenda. So I have to follow the agenda. And so that's all I can really say for now. But yeah, I would say, Kurt, it might be good if you could please stay on until the resolution is read and is complete or whatever, in case there are any questions that arise over that are pertinent. So yeah, so we'll just move ahead to that. And so could we bring up the resolution, please? Oh, actually, that's fair. So I've been reminded that we are past the health break. And so if we could take 15, and it's 10:46 now, we'll be back at 11:01.
Okay, thank you.
So now.
going to read in the resolution related to the audited financial statements, and then we'll take questions and go to a vote after questions. Okay, approval of the audited financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2025. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, les vieux, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Métis Council. Whereas the MNS is committed to promoting transparency and integrity in all aspects of government operations, including prudent and accountable use of MNS funds. Whereas at their workshop on October 24th, 2025, the PMC reviewed the audited financial statements of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat Inc. for the year ended March 31st, 2025, and the statements were presented to PMC at their duly convened meeting on October 28th, 2025. Whereas the bylaws of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat Inc. states in Section 5B, that the MNLA shall approve the financial statements upon the recommendation of the directors. Whereas Article 14A3 of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan confirms that the Board of Directors of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat is the PMC. Therefore, be it resolved that the PMC approves the draft audited financial statements of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat Inc. for the year ending March 31st, 2025, which includes financial position, operations, and cash flows, and accompanying notes and schedules. Further, be it resolved that the PMC authorizes the President and Minister of Finance to sign the statement of financial position upon the approval of this resolution. And further, be it resolved that the PMC directs the audited financial statements be presented for ratification by the MNLA at their next sitting, dated this 20th day of October, 2025, moved by Mark Friesen, Eastern Region 3, seconded by Darcy Lepowick, Eastern Region 2A. Minister Friesen, do you so move?
Sorry, I was on mute. I so move. Thank you.
Minister Lepowick, do you so second?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, we'll now open it up for questions. Do we have any questions from the floor?
I have a question.
Okay, Minister Hansen, or sorry, Secretary Hansen.
Thank you, Matt. I have a question in regards to in the last audit, NRG was in the previous audit, and I'm not seeing it in this audit. Can you comment on the status of it as well as the section of the audit it's in?
Okay, thank you, Kurt. I'll turn that over to you.
Perfect. Thanks very much. So good question. So it is in the audited statements in at least one spot, I believe, and I don't have that spot in front of me, but there is some disclosures around it in the statements. I think there is a little bit less overall information, just in some cases, just due to materiality and the size of certain things. Some items was determined that maybe less would be disclosed, and in certain areas more was disclosed. But overall, again, within the realms of accounting standards, all that was included in the statements made sense. But there is some information in the statements, I believe, in the related party note, I believe.
Echo, do you have that note handy? Just so you could maybe read it out to Secretary Hansen.
Yeah.
Note 7 appear for it. Thank you.
Kurt, is this something that you were commenting on? You can.
Yeah.
You have the visual.
Looking at it, there is a due And if I'm looking at that right, so there's a due to Northern Resource Group Inc. there of 75,000, I think is what that number shows in note 10. And then note 11 does have some words. I think it might be on the next page in terms of the relations and whatnot of that party. So there is some information there as well.
Okay, it's very small on the screen. Could you please read the note for us?
Yeah, so M&S is related to Northern Research Group Inc. by virtue of M&S being the sole shareholder. During the year, M&S expensed 178,000 versus about 1.2 million in prior year in payments to NRG for consulting services.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Can I ask the one response? Why is there some disclosure, like you said, more disclosure, some disclosure? What does that mean?
So just in terms, and again, obviously these are management statements, so they can interrupt if needed, but generally speaking, if you were to disclose every transaction or every relationships, the statements would get quite cumbersome. So it's trying to focus on, and obviously some would argue they're possibly too long already, but trying to put the information in there that's relevant and appropriate. And really, so sometimes there is needs to kind of enhance or reduce what's disclosed if it's not seen as important or if the dollar amounts change. So a lot of the notes would be very, very similar, but sometimes there is some adjustments just due to kind of perspectives on what's seen to be important and largely based off of what the numbers kind of dictate as well.
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Minister Friesen. I see your hand up.
Thank you. Thank you, Kurt, for that explanation, and thank you, Chair. I just wanted to talk a little bit about or respond with respect to Secretary Hansen's question. NRG is, of course, owned 100% now by M&S, and that entity was sold to M&S for $1, and the amount that is was reflected in the 2024 audit was, of course, consulting fees. And we all know that NRG assisted in several areas with M&S, primarily internally with internal policies. So just to complete that work, there was an expense in the last fiscal year, and you can see the number there is considerably less, as Kurt has indicated, because we had completed our obligation to NRG, and as they completed their obligation to M&S. So I hope that answers the question. And the note is definitely reflects what the transaction was. So thank you very much, Kurt, for the explanation.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'll recognize Minister Dignes.
Oh, Minister Dignes, you are on mute.
My apologies, colleagues. At the beginning of the presentation from MNP, I heard strong, stable year. Are we losing focus of that? Are we getting into the woods where we really don't need to? You know, a lot of this discussion can take place and should take place, but is now the time, or should we not be celebrating the millions of dollars that we are bringing in through the federal government? Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. The chair recognizes Vice President Leclerc.
Thank you for that, Mr. Chair. I just want to respond to Minister Dignes. I know that we should celebrate the growth of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan, but we also have a serious legal obligation. We are members, we make up the board of directors for the Secretariat. So we want to make sure that anything that comes forward in terms of an audited statement, our responsibility is to our citizens and to the corporation. So it's important for us to review and reflect on the financial health again of the nation. And so it's important to ask these questions. I don't think anybody's asking questions to be disrespectful or to question the capability of the auditors and of our financial department. I think we're here to ask questions because we have hundreds of millions of dollars that we're responsible for. But I appreciate your question, Mr. Dickens.
Thank you, Vice President. Secretary Hansen.
I too also appreciate your question, Minister Dignes. However, I just want to go back to a comment that the Minister of Finance made prior to the resolution in regards to having this opportunity to ask all the questions. And it is very important to celebrate, but like we said, it's also remembering that we are accountable to our citizens, and we need to remember that. That's the most important part. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Treasurer Dennehy.
Just if Minister Friesen can elaborate on the date that I guess the shares transferred and that this became 100% entity owned entity by is it Smedco?
I believe the note says M&S.
M&S, okay, Métis Nation Secretary, I think. So
Yes.
Just what the date was.
Okay, Minister Friesen.
Thank you, Chair. Just in relation to asking questions, I have two answers. First, I want to answer the first question that Secretary Hansen raised or the comment. And that's why we host an audit workshop, so that questions can be raised at that time. And we take our time to ensure that we are articulate and we answer every question that is raised. So that's why we provide that space to ask any question with regards to audit, any of the schedules, any question. We're here to ensure that you have the correct information with regards to the audit, and we're here to answer those questions. And so we take the time to ensure that we have we provide that to the PMC, so that when it comes time to present, such as here with citizens, that those questions have been answered. And so we're here to answer those questions. I'm not certain, Treasurer Denemy, on the date that transfer happened, but we can certainly get that information. I think ECHO can get that date, the exact date when that transfer happened. Be happy to do that. Thank you.
Minister, if you'd like, I can add in the date. It was April 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay, thank you all. So we are at the end of our speakers. And so with that, we will move to a vote on the resolution. Okay, question is that the PMC approves the draft audited financial statements of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat Inc. for the year ending March 31st, 2025. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, we have 3 in favor at 20th Street, 1 opposed, and abstentions, and 2 abstentions. Okay, and
excuse me, Matt, can we get the full count, please? because we have members online as well.
Yes, Minister, I'm just waiting for that count to come up from
Thank you.
grassroots.
Thank
Thank you. Just tallying the full numbers. My numbers I have are 10 in favor, 2 opposed, 2 abstention. Motion passes.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, moving forward in the resolutions. This one also applies to the financial area. This is a standard resolution that comes forward every year, and it's appointment of the auditor. Could you please bring the resolution up? Okay, auditor for 2025-26. Whereas Article 14A3 of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan confirms that the Board of Directors of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat is the Provincial Métis Council, PMC, and whereas the PMC has accepted the audited financial statements of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat Incorporated for the year ending March 31st, 2025, completed by MNP LLP, therefore be it resolved, the Provincial Métis Council, within their authority as the Board of Directors of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat, approves the appointment of MNP LLP, Chartered Professional Accountants, to be the auditors of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Secretariat, Inc. for the fiscal year 2025-26, ending March 31st, 2026. Dated this 28th day of October, 2025, moved by Mark Friesen, Eastern Region 3, seconded by Loretta King, Western Region 1. Minister Friesen, do you so move?
I so move.
Thank you. Minister King, do you so second?
That's correct.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, I'll open the floor to questions. Comments? Or not comments, questions. Okay, perfect. Treasurer Denemy calls question. All in favor? Okay, we've got 6 in the room here in favor. And we'll just wait for the final tally from Grasslands.
Here,
Yes.
I have 12 in favor, 1 opposed.
We'll check in on that count there. We've 6 in the room here that are voting in favor, but I see 7 on Zoom. So I'm just curious, you mentioned 12. So did we get all
13 in favor, 1 opposed is the final count. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carried. Okay, moving on. Minister of Economic Development, Tourism and Sport. Okay, could you bring up the resolution, please? Okay, Minister of Economic Development, Tourism and Sport, whereas Articles 2.4 and 4.4b of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Constitution confer upon the President the mandate to assign ministerial portfolios subject to the approval of the Provincial Métis Council and ratification by the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly. Whereas Article 2.4 of the Constitution further mandates that the assignment of ministerial portfolios are restricted to members of the MNLA, and whereas the President has made the following ministerial portfolio appointment on October 14th, 2025, Economic Development, Tourism and Sport, Brent Dignas, ER2. Therefore, be it resolved that the ministerial portfolio appointment made by the President as for the Ministry of Economic Development, Tourism and Sport be approved by the PMC as of October 28th, 2025, which will be presented for ratification to the MNLA. just need to see the mover here. Can't quite see it yet. Okay, dated this 28th day of October 2025. Moved by President Glenn McCallum, seconded by Laura Burnoff, Northern Region 1. President McCallum, do you so move?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Minister Burnoff, do you so second?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so opening board questions, I see a hand up from Minister Dignas. It's gone now, but was that your hand up, Minister?
I do appreciate and thank for the president for this opportunity. As a past term, we had already done great efforts and moved the nation forward in many ways when it came to economic development. The tourism portfolio and sports, I feel, are a very comfortable fit together as well. So I look forward to any questions that my colleagues may have in regards to this portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Vice President.
I'm not speaking against the motion, I'm speaking for the motion, but I've noticed on the order of the day MNLA that the ratification of portfolios is not on the agenda. So I would ask President McCallum and Minister Burnoff if they would put on the date for the next MNLA, just to add that to the bottom so that we ensure that the ratification of all portfolios are on the floor at the MNLA.
Okay. Okay, so we've got a recommendation for a friendly amendment to the resolution to include the date after MNLA, and that therefore be it resolved. I'll just turn to the mover and ask if you accept that friendly amendment.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and seconder, do you accept that friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just get it typed in here.
Awesome.
Okay, perfect. If we could just get D tacked on to the word schedule.
Isn't there MLA the 28th, 29th? Or 29th, 30th?
No, it's the 21st to 23rd this time around. Okay, so it now says, therefore be it resolved that the ministerial portfolio appointment made by the president as for the Ministry of Economic Development, Tourism and Sport be approved by the PMC as of October 28th, 2025, which will be presented for ratification to the MNLA on the next scheduled MNLA on November 21st to 23rd, 2025. Oh, sorry, scheduled for November 21st to 23rd, 2025. I see no further hands up, no other speakers on the list, so we will move to a vote. All in favor? We count 6 at 20th Street. Okay, opposed? Abstentions? Okay, can we just get the final tally from Grasswoods?
Thank you, Chair. I have 13 in favor. No opposed, no abstentions recorded.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Okay,
Thank you, everyone. I'll work hard for you.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, so moving forward, President, do you want me to continue to show these ones? Okay, 8.4, we're moving into constitutional reform resolutions. Amendments to the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan preamble to support transition from provincial nonprofit to self-government. We could bring the resolution up. Okay, so whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan recognizes the distinctiveness of Métis identity, culture, values, and language, inclusive of knowledge keepers, Giteya, Leviamont, elders, youth, women, and distinctive resources, which is incorporated into proposals and decisions of the Provincial Métis Council. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan is the government of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan that is rooted in distinctiveness, including identity, culture, values, and language. Whereas the inherent right of the Métis self-government is affirmed in Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982, and further recognized through the Métis Government Recognition and Self-Government Agreement 2019, and the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Self-Government Recognition and Implementation Agreement 2023. Whereas the adoption of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Constitution in 1993 marked a foundational assertion of Métis rights, self-determination, and remains a living document that must evolve to reflect the nation's progress. Whereas in April 2024, the PMC passed a resolution that supported proceeding with 5 constitutional amendment priorities, which included adding language to support self-government and an affirmation of Métis rights to the preamble of the Constitution, a resolution PMC 240417-02. Whereas Kateak Leviumont or elders met on March 1st, 2024 to provide guidance and insights into the revisions to the preamble of the Constitution, and later met on May 10th, 2024 to review the proposed amendments offering their full support of the revisions. Whereas the amended preamble reflects the nation's rightful place as a government and aligns with the principles, agreements, and aspirations of the MNS. Whereas the PMC passed a resolution at their duly convened meeting on October 15th, 2024, supporting the amendments to the preamble of the Constitution included in Annex A, PMC Resolution 241015-08. Whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly Act 1999, MNLA Act requires constitutional amendments be supported by resolution of the PMC or by the signatures of 5 members of the MNLA, ensuring that the amendments are filed 30 days prior to the MNLA or 14 days prior to the MNLA if the minimum 30 days notice of the MNLA is provided. Whereas, in accordance with the MNLA Act, the constitutional amendments for the preamble were included in the order of the day for the November 2024 MNLA, but were not considered by the Assembly. And whereas the PMC continues to support the constitutional amendments to the preamble included as Annex A, and desires that they should again be brought to MNLA for approval and to a General Assembly for ratification. Therefore, be it resolved that the Provincial Métis Council, PMC, supports amendments to the preamble of the Constitution of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan for the addition of language to support self-government and an affirmation of Métis rights as set out in Annex A. And further be it resolved that the PMC directs the proposed amendments be included in the order of the day for the next sitting of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly in accordance with the procedural requirements of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Legislative Assembly Act 1999, and recommends that the amendments to be ratified at a future General Assembly to be called by the MNLA. Dated this 20th day of October 2025, moved by Brennan Morasti, NR3, seconded by Laura Burnoff, NR1. Minister Morasti, do you so move? Mr. Morasti? I did see earlier in the meeting, there was mention that Minister Morasti had to leave.
Which would have been like about half an hour ago, he would have had to leave because he has a IPCA meeting.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the mover is not present and so.
Mr. Chair.
Minister Dignes?
If so be, I can move up. Yes, Mr. Chair, move.
Okay, okay, thank you. So the new mover is Minister Brent Dignes, ER2. Minister Burnoff, do you so second?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? We'll move to a vote.
We're not going to discuss it.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I'm really trying to catch up on the agenda here. Sorry, everyone. I'll open the floor to questions. Okay. Okay, seeing no hands and, oh, yes, or Secretary Hansen.
I have a question. More of an amendment, I think.
Are you gonna read it? The preamble?
Oh, I guess that's a good point. It is in an annex, so we should be reading the annex.
Yeah.
Okay, would you like me to read it first?
Please.
Okay, yes.
Thanks.
Oh, the resolution was
It's
quite
long.
long. Annex A, the preamble to the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan Constitution is deleted and replaced with the following. The Métis Nation-Saskatchewan is a distinct Indigenous people. The Métis are distinct from Indians and Inuit and are the descendants of the historic Métis who evolved in what is now Western Canada and part of the Northern United States as a people with a common political will and consciousness, history, culture, language, and values. Thank you, Alder. Sorry about that. We, the Métis Nation Saskatchewan, or Métis Nation within Saskatchewan, affirm that the values of Cotowin. Actually, could you read those ones for me, or can you?
I can't see them.
Oh, you can't see them. Okay.
Here.
I'll see them through your eyes.
Okay. So-
Here.
Okay, we're just gonna get our language speaker to read the
I can,
Indigenous.
I can read those, yeah.
Go ahead then.
Okay.
Read them.
Lead the meeting within Saskatchewan.
Mhm.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Affirm the values of Wakum, Miwak, Wakotwin. I don't know, Deni, Maparanti, and Wakotwin is Northern Michif. Kinship and connection to each other. Shagihiwiak, Sagihituin. Dene, Amor must be the Michif French. Sagihituin is the Northern Michif. Manache Twin is the Northern Michif, and then the Dene is a long word. Rispe must be the Michif French, and Manache Twin is the Northern is the Cree. But I don't know why the Cree is there because we have the Northern Michif, which is mostly Cree. Our essential value of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan. Recognize Katipim Shoyak. We also Tipim Swak, our own boss. Then the people who own themselves. Own Prazwan. I don't know the Michi French. Die Zuds Muin with Swak. With the Pim Swak, yeah. So again there that's repeated, but yeah, we don't have it should be Northern Michif. That the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan is its own boss. This is the fundamental principle of Métis identity with deep historical roots. The Métis Nation within Saskatchewan has the existing inherent right to self-determination and has been governing itself for generations through the laws of the prairie, including the laws of Saint Laurent, the laws of the Buffalo Hunt, the Manitoba Act proposed by the Riel Provincial Government and Louis Riel, the first premier of the province of Manitoba, and bylaws and constitutions for Métis representative organization in Saskatchewan. I think you can read now because it's probably not the language on.
You're saying you.
If you want. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Minister. I didn't want to dishonor our ancestors by butchering our languages, so thank you for that. Affirm that the Métis Nation Saskatchewan, or the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan's self-determination, including its authority to govern itself, is recognized and affirmed by Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan Self-Government Recognition and Implementation Agreement between Métis Nation Saskatchewan and His Majesty the King in Right of Canada, dated February 23rd, 2023, and the Métis Government Recognition and Self-Government Framework Agreement between Métis Nation-Saskatchewan and Canada dated June 27th, 2019. Affirm the Daniels decision in which Métis fall within subsection 924 of the Constitution Act 1867 and the bilateral government relationship between the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan and the federal government of Canada. Affirm that elders are our knowledge keepers and serve as the voice to carry our history, and children are our future. The Métis Nation-Saskatchewan will hold children at the center. Having experienced physical and political conflict and dispossession in the late 1800s, we are still engaged in a continuing struggle to rebuild our social cause and revive our cultural heritage and pride. As such, we are striving for the political, legal, and constitutional recognition and guarantees of rights of our people, including the right to a land and resource base, self-government, and self-government institutions through treaty, land claims, and all other measures necessary. In order to achieve these objectives, we are hereby reestablishing a strong and revitalized government within the province of Saskatchewan, which must involve all sectors within our society. While pursuing these objectives within Saskatchewan, we are also committed to cooperating with the members of the Métis Nation in the rest of the homeland in order to develop a national forum to represent our collective interests at the national and international level. Whereas Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982 recognizes and affirms Métis as one of the 3 Aboriginal peoples of Canada, and whereas Métis Nation-Saskatchewan has adopted the national definition of Métis, we are further committed to promote national registration of Métis citizens. We, the citizens of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan, recognize the inherent dignity and equality and rights that can never be taken away from Métis people is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peace in the Métis Nation. The ideal of all Métis enjoying civil and political freedom can only be achieved if conditions are created whereby every Métis may enjoy their civil, political rights, economic, social, and cultural rights. The promotion of universal respect for and observance of all the collective and individual rights and freedoms of all Métis. The Métis individual having duties to other Métis individuals and to the Métis community to which they are a part has the responsibility to strive for the promotion and observance of all Métis rights. Therefore, we the citizens of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan agree to the following articles. 1, all Métis have the right to determination. By virtue of that right, we the citizens of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan will freely determine our political status and freely pursue our economic, social, and cultural development. 2, the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan undertakes to respect and ensure the rights of all individuals within the nation and subject to its jurisdiction without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, religion, political, or other opinions. 3, to ensure that any Métis person whose rights or freedoms is here and recognized is entitled to be heard by a competent authority of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan as provided for by law. 4, to ensure competent authorities as authorized pursuant to laws enacted by the Métis Nation Legislative Assembly shall enforce such remedies when granted. The Métis Nation-Saskatchewan undertakes to ensure the equal right of persons to enjoy all civil and political rights set forth in these articles. 6, every Métis citizen shall have the right to liberty of movement to choose their residence. 7, no Métis citizen shall be deprived of the right to join a local in the community where they reside. 8, all Métis persons shall be equal before the Métis Nation's Legislative Assembly in Saskatchewan. 9, no Métis person shall be subject to arbitrary or unlawful interference with their privacy, family, home, or correspondence, nor to unlawful attacks on their honor or reputation. Every Métis person shall have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. 11, no Métis person shall be subject to coercion that would impair their freedom to have or adopt a belief of their choice. 12, the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan shall have respect for the liberty of parents or guardians to ensure moral education of their children is in conformity with their own convictions. 13, every Métis person has the right to hold opinions without interference. 14, every Métis person shall have the right to expression, including the freedom to seek, receive, and import information and ideas of all kinds, either in writing or print, in the form of art, or through any media of their choice. The right of 15, the right of Métis people to assemble and organize at the community level is recognized. 16, every Métis person has the right of association subject only to a restriction that is prescribed by the Métis Nation Legislative Assembly and is necessary to protect the interests of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan. 17, the family is the natural and fundamental group of the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan, as entitled to protection by the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. 18, every Métis child born of a Métis person is entitled to be registered as a citizen of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. 19, every Métis person has the right to take part in the conduct of public affairs directly or through freely chosen representatives. B, to vote and be elected to a local or regional council, the executive, the provincial Métis, or the Métis Nation Legislative Assembly, subject only to the appropriate restrictions on age or residence. C, all votes shall be of equal and universal suffrage and shall be held by a secret ballot, which guarantees the free expression of the will of the electors. D, all Métis shall have the right to access all public services offered through the Métis Nation affiliates. And 20, all Métis persons are equal and entitled to protection by the Métis Nation Saskatchewan. Okay, and so that brings us to the close of Annex A. I do recognize Elder Fleury who wanted to provide comment on an element of that.
Okay, to the mover and seconder, if we may include a few of the words that are indicative and important to distinction, and those words are identity, culture, values, and language. And there's another place where there was a Michif French, there was a word, prends soin des autres, means taking care of others. We want to say prends soin de nous autres, taking care of ourselves. That would be another point of that I'd like to make.
Okay, thank you, Elder. And
That's okay with me.
yeah, so I guess on that, I'll just check in with the mover and the seconder on this, just to ensure that they're okay with the friendly amendment suggested by the Elder. Minister Dignas, you're the mover.
She is the language speaker as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Minister. I think you're having some connectivity issues. Your response was just a wee bit choppy. Could you please repeat?
Excuse me, is that better now?
Better now.
So I'm okay with the amendments, as I would like to turn to my colleagues, also learned it in our language, to get a little more clarification as to that, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Minister. Minister.
Oh, I did as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
On there's
Yeah, I can respond. Can you hear me? I think the connections are going away here. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm
Minister,
okay
yeah.
with yeah, because I'm not familiar with the Michif French. And because this is an annex, maybe once they have edited it, then me and Norman and a couple others can take a look at it and make sure that it's I had edited it before because there were some words that didn't make sense in Northern Michif. So for the Annex A, I would suggest that we take a new look at it once we give you the right spelling and all that.
Okay. Okay.
But the resolution is good as it is.
Thank you, Minister President McCallum.
Yeah, is there any way they're editing right now or making a point of knowing which areas that we need changes, like political will and consciousness, or identity, culture, values, and language? Identity, we have to be consistent, even on this resolution, it starts with identity, culture, values. Every time we use that, it's all over our documents or our government, I should say. And here it doesn't have that, so identity, culture, values, and language, and thank you for spotting that out there. And make sure it's either highlighted or changed.
Yeah, they'll take note, because this is the annex that they're going to do it once over, so they'll change those.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, back to the list, Vice President. Or actually, sorry, let me, oh, okay, because you technically had the first question, and then we cut off to go to the annex, so we will return to you, Secretary. Sorry, go.
I'm questioning, whereas section 35, that paragraph in regards to, can we look at that to promote national registration? Should we not be staying within the province?
Where's that?
In the annex. Is that? Yeah, but coming home specifically to our province.
Okay, so yeah, so on that one, as these come up, so I think everybody's gonna have some suggested wording, and I think the easiest way to deal with it is just if everybody kind of provides a recommendation for amendment, and then we'll go to the mover and the seconder and ask them if they accept, and if they accept, then we can proceed. And if they don't, then we carry on, just because it's a monster of a document. I'm just trying to think of how we get through it. So the specific point to the movers here and seconders is Secretary Hansen has suggested, should we be stating national registration, or should we be confining it to the province? And so do you have a specific amendment that you want to suggest?
No, I just wanted to.
Oh, just comment?
Yeah.
More so comment. Okay, if it's a comment, then we'll move to Vice President.
No, just suggest to remove the national.
Okay, so that.
And put in Saskatchewan specific.
Sorry, where does it say national?
Section whereas.
In the annex?
Yeah, whereas section 35 of the Constitutional Act, 1982. Recognizes and affirms.
Well, is it the national definition?
Yes.
It's we further commit to promote.
Yeah, adopted the national definition of Métis. We are further committed to promote national registration of Métis citizens.
What does that mean?
I guess point of clarification for the movers. I know Minister Dignas, you came in later as a mover.
Minister Morasti is on now.
Oh, okay. Minister Morasti is online. So as the original mover, Minister Morasti, we did have to get a new mover for this resolution to get it to the floor. But could you provide clarity on what is meant by the national registration of Métis citizens?
My assumption is as the national government, Métis Nation-Saskatchewan, to register their citizens wherever they might be.
That would be my assumption, is that nation.
Hi, folks. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. So this would be the statement for our transition, but yes, as the national Métis government in Saskatchewan that represents those in Saskatchewan.
Okay. So then
I have
that
a
provides the
question
clarification.
as long as it's Saskatchewan.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. But he just made a comment about transition. Can you explain that, please?
Oh, sorry, you'll have to direct your question this way here, and then I can recognize. Sorry, just trying to keep it going. So,
sorry.
No, it's all good. Minister Morasti, if you could respond to that.
Transition from nonprofit to Métis government. That's what I was referring to, sorry.
Minister, does that provide clarity? Sir?
I just want to make a comment in regards to, are we gonna have a transition period over to self-government? And also, I find even this morning, there's some confusion around government and secretariat. I believe there's two from my understanding. I'm just learning myself. So there is a fine line though between the governance and the secretariat, right? The secretariat is administration and the governance is the MNLA, right? Where we get all our direction from. So moving forward, can we have a definition for those and maybe an explanation to our citizens and to myself anyway too? Because, and is there going to be a transitional period?
Okay. Okay, so I hear the question. I see that I see two hands up. One is at Grasswoods. It looks like Gerald, and I see Minister Morasti's hand up. So with Minister Morasti being the mover, I'll give you first response, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleague for your questions. The transformation from a nonprofit organization to a unique Métis distinct government started 8 years ago. Our legislative assembly, I don't remember the correct year, but through our legislative assembly, they asked for constitution reform. The voices of our people have been heard over these years, and some of the colleagues at the table have started that work for us. We are continuing that through the resolutions before you and fulfilling the vision of our past leaders from the early 90s, late 80s, and so on. So this work is ongoing. As you can see, there is no real timeline until we get our Métis Governance Treaty, which is in the horizon, I will say, very close. And of course, we'll all be a part of that process as well. But this transformation has been ongoing for 8 years through constitution reform, the voices of our people, and a lot of the legislation that we've been introducing at each assembly. Thank you.
Okay, okay, thank you. So we do have a lot of people on the list. So can I put you on the list again a little bit later? For sure. Okay. Okay, thank you, Secretary. Just want to keep it moving along. So Vice President Leclerc, you're next.
Thank you. I don't want to correct you, Minister Morasti, but this has been ongoing since 1993. Hence why we adopted a constitution, was to move away from a nonprofit structure. And that's why today in 2025, we can say, and we do say to government and others, that we are self-governing people because we moved away from that nonprofit. A secretariat is necessary to have our financial stuff go through and all of that. So I just wanted to add that because I know Gerald's up there and he's probably thinking the same thing. So a couple of things. First of all, I want to raise an issue in terms of, no, before I go there, I want to thank the elders for all of your hard work on this preamble. And it really, really is wonderful to see. Just a few things. In order to achieve this objective, we are hereby reestablishing a strong and revitalized government. Now, it depends on whether or not you're using that word as an adjective or a verb. So if you're using it as an adjective, you're restoring it to something that was original. If you're using it as a verb, it's something that has stopped and been lost, and now all of a sudden we're doing it again. And I think words matter, and I think it's important to look at that particular word. I don't think we're reestablishing anything. It goes back to just what I was talking about, 1993, where in 1993, one of our founding fathers of this constitution is online, Gerald Warren. I think he would agree with me, and I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but we're not reestablishing something. Even though we had some dark years and all of that, we were still here. We were still fighting. We were still saying we have rights. So I just wanted to bring that up, and people that are much smarter than me can maybe have a look at that word and figure something else out, because we are a strong nation. We always have been, and we always will be. On number 2, my friend has raised the issue of So when we're looking at subject to jurisdiction without distinction of any kind, such as race, color, sex, language, etc. Under sex, I think it needs to be gender identity. We have to recognize that we're in 2025 and onward. And so I would take that sex out and put gender identity. I think that's really important. And then consequentially, and you and I made eye contact on this one. 18. Every Métis child born of a Métis person is entitled to be registered as a citizen of the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan. That's not true. And it's not true because some children may be First Nations, their dad or mom is First Nations, their other parent is Métis. Now, according to our Constitution, according to our Citizenship Act, that is a false statement. And if that's indeed true, our Constitution needs to change and our Citizenship Act needs to change. I'm not saying I'm opposed to this, but it's a huge question when we talk about identity and we talk about registration. And so I don't know that it's properly placed in here unless we change all of our legislation. And it has tremendous impacts. So those were my three things, and one of yours, that we wanted to address. Yeah,
Perfect.
So if you can make a note of that.
Yes, thank you, Vice President. So I think what we're going to do is we'll let everybody provide comment on this as we go through, because I think it's going to result in a whole number of changes. So if just to support, if Grasswoods, if you could kind of collect the listing of friendly amendments, and then we could kind of go through them. So next on the list, we've got Gerald Morin, followed by Minister Fullerton.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. On the first page of the proposed amendments, with one of the I think it's the third or fourth indented paragraph on the first page that says recognize and goes into the Michif language, we who own ourselves with the Pim Swag and so on. And then later it goes, the Métis Nation within Saskatchewan has the existing inherent right to self-determination, has been governing itself for generations through the laws of the fair, including the laws of the St. Laurent, the laws of the Buffalo and Manitoba Act proposed by the Real Provincial Government, and so on and so on. Why wouldn't we also say that including the Métis Wildlife and Conservation Act 1994 and all of the other laws that we've passed since 1993, I would think that those would be more important than what we have enumerated in there now, because that's our contemporary exercise of our inherent right of self-government since we passed our Constitution when we made that historic move in 1993, where our people declared the inherent right of self-government, one of those rights, a bundle of rights that are affirmed in Section 35 of the Constitution Act 1982, the highest law of the country. You know, if we're going to be enumerating things which exemplify that we've been exercising the inherent right of self-government, then we should be really highlighting those laws that we currently have on the books right now, including with the starting with the Métis Wildlife and Conservation Act of 1994. The other thing I would say, my second point is on the second page, I think it's the third full paragraph. It says, in order to achieve these objectives, we are hereby reestablishing a strong and revitalized government. Well, that was done in 1993. The language should change so that since we have reestablished a strong and revitalized government in 1993, you might want to add other languages to indicate that you're doing that again with this proposed amendment. But I think the language should reflect the reality of our history, particularly in relation to governance issues and and amendments to our Constitution. Oh, and then the third point is I've been asked. There was a question earlier about the national registration of the citizens. Yeah, whereas Section 30 of the Constitution recognizes and affirms the Métis as one of the three Aboriginal peoples of Canada, and whereas the Métis Nation-Saskatchewan has adopted the national definition of Métis, we are further committed to promote national registration of Métis citizens. I just want to point out that that is currently in the Constitution. That was not originally in the 1993 Constitution. It was a subsequent amendment, but it is currently in the Constitution. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Must see.
Thank you, Gerald. Yeah, there was just a note in the room here too that one of the words we may want to use when we're talking about our constitution or our laws is reaffirm. So that was just kind of something thrown out for all of you at Grasswoods, just the word reaffirm in relation to those. Okay, so Minister Fullerton.
Yes, thank you. So just reading just on page 3, so the Métis Nation is a distinct Indigenous people. The Métis are distinct from the Indians and Inuit. And, you know, just going back, and I know that Canada has, you know, now moved from Indians to First Nations. And, you know, as we look at the history and the, you know, the history that's attached to that word and, you know, teaching our children, if we're updating our language and being, you know, very respectful of the language that we're using, would we not want to, because even if you go on Canada's national definition, it'll state Indians with brackets or First Nations. So I would like to make a friendly amendment that we change Indians to First Nations to be respectful of our kin.
Where is that?
It is on right at the beginning of Annex A.
Okay. Yeah, for section 35. Right?
Yes, and then the section 35, that's what we identified.
It's always depends on kind of how you're addressing it, because in relation to the Indian Act, it has not changed. So it just depends kind of where it's being referenced. But in our case, I think it's proper to say First Nations.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you, Minister. We'll move that along.
Can I just respond to that really quick?
Yes, Vice President. Yes.
And I think that you're right, but if we're talking about or referencing section 35, then those are the words that we're stuck with legally. You know, it's like you can't go back in history with you know, anything that was written years and years ago that seems racist, right? You know, with the N word and with the Indian word and all of that. You're kind of stuck with those. You can't have revisionary history, but I get where you're going with that. Maybe we can just put First Nations and then Indians in brackets.
Even if, yeah, because I understand, you know, we don't want to be taken by history. And then, so I do know, yeah, so in the section 35, we're still Aboriginal peoples. And yes, we can't change the Indian Act. That's fact. Even if we put First Nations in, just so we're acknowledging that, and that changed because it was in the 80s we started kind of changing the wording. And if we go to a lot of the political, communications and that, we don't really see that word. So I just want to show that we're acknowledging not using a colonial word that has been imposed on it.
Okay.
I don't know how that works.
Get the proposed amendment noted, you know, with the brackets, First Nations with brackets, we'll propose that. Okay, so moving along here, Deputy Chief of Self-Determination and Self-Government, Dorothy Mile. Sorry, you're on mute still, Dorothy. You're
morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you now. Can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, I can. Thank you. Thank you. I think in response to I think a couple of the comments, and I know we're tracking them. Heather is tracking all of these, so that you know, we're tracking to make sure that what is doable, what isn't, and of course is subject to the mover and the seconder agreeing to the proposed comments. And amendments to the resolution. But in terms of what terminology, in what is included in section 35.1 regarding what is included in the Canadian Constitution on the three Indigenous groups that are mentioned, or Aboriginal peoples that are mentioned in the Constitution. It is very specific what that is, and I think different terms do evolve over the years, and we adopt different things. And I think just to state outright that many of the terms that have been assigned Indians, First Nations, Indigenous peoples, or is it Anishinaabe, or is it Cree, or whatever that is, I think it's really, and I understand us being respectful of what the terminology might be, but I think we really have to think about keeping true to what is identified in the Canadian Constitution, and that others do certainly have different names. For example, I have different terms that have been assigned by outside people and authorities, where, for example, I'm a Soto person, or am I Anishinaabe? In my language, it is Anishinaabe. And and nowhere does that appear in the Constitution. So just being, mindful of those things, and I think that was the intent of what we included there. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Dorothy. Okay, Secretary Hansen.
I would just like to mention that for sure we need to make some changes, but after everybody ripped this apart, I think we should just put off the resolution till it's redone and brought back. So, because it's here, there, and it's everywhere, and something as important as the wording in the Canadian Constitution and making sure we're following the right way. So, I just think myself personally that I don't want to not vote. Like, we need to start working on things, but at the same time, I want to vote for something that we're not clear on either.
Okay,
so
thank you, Provincial Secretary. Just so you know, I just asked the question kind of right before you provided comment to see if it was possible for the policy group to kind of compile all these over lunch while we're eating, give like a redrafted version. Yeah, sorry, I didn't have a chance to mention it. So they're able to go through it at lunch and kind of redraft with all the feedback provided, and then we can look at it, and the mover and seconder can decide to accept or not accept the proposed amendments, friendly amendments. So given that it's on the floor, if we could just kind of see how that works out, and then if you want to provide that same feedback after that, then you're welcome to it for sure. Okay, sounds good. Wait, Minister Morasti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say yes to my colleague, the Vice President. This work has been very much so been ongoing since the Constitution was introduced, and that's what we're just following through on that vision, as I stated. But the purpose of this resolution, it's important to the groundedness and solidifying our footprint in Saskatchewan. As you all know, we have others overlaying or overlapping or trying to make those attempts on jurisdiction. This solidifies our position in Saskatchewan, and it more importantly gets to tell our story, or leads us to that flow. So I hope we can rectify the changes today and get this resolution passed into the floor of our assembly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Minister. Okay, Minister Montgrant. The floor is yours, Mr. Montgrant. We had you for a second, but I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you.
Okay. I just a couple of things I heard when I was listening, and I just about choked on my porridge. Um, is there something in there about people can migrate from one region to another region or from one local to another local? And if so, if that's true, um, I don't know how we'd be able to implement it because we'd have communities up in ours. I'm speaking on behalf of the northern region too. We have a considerable amount of, uh, of good dollars and stuff like that. But so if anybody could come into our region, they could access those dollars. I'm not trying to be, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not trying to leave people out in the corridor, but I'm just trying to figure it out for my board so that I have an idea going back and talking to them. Maybe it's not even true what I'm hearing. I don't know. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, Minister. So just point of clarification here. So are you referring to point number 7 under the citizens' rights where it says, I guess 6 and 7. 6 is every Métis citizen shall have the right of liberty or right to liberty of movement to choose their residence. And 7, no Métis citizen shall be deprived of the right to join a local in the community where they reside. Those are the 2 residency points.
There's another one. I was going to question that too for you. Yeah. It's
Come on, Marlene.
the right to choose local.
Go ahead, Marlene. Just kidding them. Go ahead.
But
I hate this one. Yeah, go ahead, Marlene. It's my phone.
Item you're referencing?
Yeah, those are the 2 items I was referencing.
It is.
It is. Like, I don't know where we're going to go with this because, like I said before, a lot of our members are going to be in our region. They are not going to be too happy to hear this, that they have the opportunity just to move into our region. It's like us moving into LaRonge region just because we want to, or we want to become a member of that region because they have enormous wealth or whatever, speaking, in terms of financial stuff. So I know it's a living document. I know we're still working on the first piece, but when people see that or hear of it, they're gonna go, "What the hell? Where's that coming from?" So
Okay,
and they're gonna run to Marlene because I'm gonna direct her to them.
President Leclerc is gonna speak to this point. Vice President?
Yeah, I get your point on number 7. Maybe, but number 6 is a fundamental right born out of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms of Canada. Everyone has the right of movement, whether they want to move for whatever purpose, doesn't matter what purpose it is. The Supreme Court of Canada has said that every citizen has the right of movement. You cannot prevent someone from accessing programs or moving to a particular community. That is it's a human right and it's a charter right. And I'm guessing that when the elders and our policy people were thinking about these kinds of rights, they were also thinking about the rights that we hold as Canadian citizens that have the right of liberty of movement to choose our residence. That is a right that the Supreme Court of Canada and our Canadian Constitution makes very clear. Whether we want it in our Constitution or not is another thing. I mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying that is a right as a Canadian citizen that we have.
Okay, thank you, Vice President. I'm just going to recognize Dorothy Mayo, Deputy Chief, really quickly because I believe she wants to respond on this point as well.
Yes, articles, those 6 and 7 already exist in our Constitution. They're there now. Those are not amendments, just for PMC to be aware of that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dorothy. Okay, that takes us then, I think, past that discussion because they're not material to the resolution because they're in the Constitution and not being amended. So we'll move on to Provincial Youth President Rachel Frères.
Thank you. Great discussion today. I really appreciate this.
On page 4, when they say affirm the elders, that elders are our knowledge keepers and serve as the voices to carry our history, and children are our future. There is a very big difference between children and youth, and they are both important. So both should be acknowledged when children are mentioned. Should be also youth as well. You wouldn't call a 29-year-old a child, right? So there is a big difference. So for that, for when children is both mentioned in that little paragraph, that it's also with youth.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so the suggested friendly amendment is children and youth versus children. Thank you. Okay, final speaker on the list is Vice President Leclerc.
No, I got nothing to add.
Okay. Hey, so that was good. We covered some ground, but we are going to break for lunch now. And the policy team is going to work on this over lunch with the mover and the seconder, try to get it to the point where we can bring it back for a quick review and then vote, because we do have a lot of other items on the agenda for this afternoon. So we will. For lunch.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the reminder, Elder. Oh, okay, Dorothy?
Can I ask legal also to join the policy team over lunch, please?
You bet. Okay, thank you, Dorothy. And so we're going to condense our lunch break a little bit. We previously had an hour. Let's take 40 minutes instead and come back at 1 p.m. Yeah. And before we leave, the elders are going to provide us with a prayer.
I thank God for getting us all here safely this morning. I ask God to bless the food we are about to share. Thank Mother Earth for providing. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
And I'd have to also, for her family and herself and those that are friends. So with that, we'll say a quick prayer to bring us in comfort and compassion, and as friends of the family and of Mayor Lee, and that she's worked so hard with us and her family. So we're with you in our hearts, our minds, and we're with you as you mourn and as you grieve and as you move forward. Thank you, Marcy.
Thank you.